This story has caught my eye. It's about child grooming in London, with reports that it is at catastrophic levels, in fact more catastrophic than anywhere else in the country. That's according to a care sector activist and an abuse survivor, Chris Wilde. Said grooming and criminal exploitation are rife in the capital, and it's being missed due to poor data sharing and underfunded services. Indeed, in the review by Baroness Louise Casey into rape gangs across England, they found a mismatch in the way that the Met Police and local authorities record child abuse. Now, if we know that there are rape gangs targeting children in other inner city areas, in other metropolitan boroughs, to the extent across the country that it has been, why is it that we don't seem to be finding such examples in London? I think that was a question well worth asking, which is a question that the leader of the Conservative group in the London Assembly, Susan Hall, put to the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, who also happens to be the Police and Crime Commissioner. Now just watch his response. It will make your blood boil.
I asked you this question last week and you found every which way but not to answer it. Just how many grooming gangs have we got in London?
To avoid any misunderstanding, can she define what she means by that?
Yes, if you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people, but they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for your misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelt it out. Are you not listening? It's the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
Something absolutely sickening has just exploded across Britain, and it's spreading like wildfire, because this is not just a scandal. This is the ugliest, most disgraceful betrayal of innocent children that this country has seen in decades, and the man right at the center of this political firestorm is none other than the disgusting human being who calls himself the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who has now been exposed in front of the entire nation, gaslighting, bullying, and obfuscating. Asha dodged the most serious and horrifying question any politician can ever face: the safety of underage minors being raped by grooming gangs right here in the heart of our capital city. And instead of showing courage, instead of standing up for the victims, instead of answering with dignity and respect, he chose to hide, chose to twist, chose to play the most disgraceful political game imaginable by refusing to even utter the words "rape gangs live on air." This isn't just cowardice. This isn't just pathetic. This is a political cover-up of the most despicable kind, because when a man with the power to protect children refuses to even name the evil that is targeting them, he has no right to hold that office and no right to remain in public life. This is a story of absolute disgrace, where every word, every action, and every lie told by the London mayor drips with betrayal. And now the public is furious. The public is demanding his resignation, because this incident has exposed everything we feared, everything we suspected, and everything that has been ruthlessly covered up by those in power for far too long. Started with a simple question, a perfectly reasonable, fair, and serious question asked by Susan Halland, the London Assembly, about the growing threat of grooming gangs in London and the rising reports of child abuse across the city. But instead of giving a straight answer, instead of facing the issue with the gravity it deserves, Sadiq Khan responded with the most arrogant smirk and proceeded to gaslight the entire room, claiming he didn't understand the question and asking her to clarify, as if he was confused by words. Everyone in the UK understands his behavior wasn't just disgraceful. It was calculated, cold, and utterly disgusting, because, make no mistake, his entire response was designed to shut down the conversation, to silence his critics, and to bully anyone who dares raise their voice about this horrifying crime. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate political obfuscation, and attempt to play the race card and frame his critic as some sort of xenophobe or Islamophobe too. distract from the real issue. The rape use of innocent underage minors by organized grooming gangs in our capital city. His refusal to say the words rape gangs wasn't an accident. It was a strategy. It was a move straight out of the political playbook that has protected these gangs for years, hiding behind political correctness, hiding behind fears of offending communities, hiding behind race politics, while children suffered in silence, while victims were ignored, while entire communities were destroyed, and as Sadiq Khan sat there playing games, the fury across the country. Exploded people watched in horror as the mayor of London behaved not as a leader, but as a coward man more concerned with his image than the lives of vulnerable girls in his own city. He's not just unfit for office, he's an national disgrace, a deplorable, despicable human being who has shown that the innocence, dignity, and safety of children mean nothing to him when it comes to protecting his political career. It disgusts me. It disgusts millions of people across the UK, and after this scandal, there is no going back because this clip has been seen by thousands already, and it is spreading like wildfire because it exposes everything the political class has been hiding for decades. How many more victims, how many more ruined lives, how many more shattered families must it take before they admit the truth, before they stop covering up, before they stop gaslighting and victim blaming, before they start holding the guilty accountable. This isn't just about Sadiq Khan. This is about every politician who looked the other way. Every police officer who's silent, every authority figure who chose to protect themselves instead of protecting the innocent. The Casey report already proved that these cover-ups exist. It confirmed that in London alone, the authorities had been failing to properly track and respond to sexual abuse cases for years, failing to collect key data, failing to end reports, failing to protect those at risk because of political fears, because they were too afraid to be called racist, too afraid to confront the uncomfortable reality. That grooming gang have been targeting specific communities. And yet, even after all that evidence, even after all those scandals, even after hundreds of public apologies and promises to do better, here we're again watching the mayor of London smirk and dodge and lie to avoid facing the truth. The public's patience has run out. The anger is boiling over because they know this isn't an isolated incident. This is part of a pattern, the same pattern we've seen in Rotherham and Telford and Rochdale and Oxford. And now in London, where the same crimes are repeated, the same victims are ignored, and the same cowardly excuses are rolled out to shield the guilty instead of defending the innocent. This political cover-up must end. Now, because the stakes are too high, this isn't about political games. This is about life and death, about the safety of children, about the dignity of victims, and Sadiq Khan's disgraceful behavior has made it clear he cannot be trusted to lead in this issue. He must be held accountable. He must face the consequences of his actions, and every London Assembly member must now decide whether they will stand with the victims or whether they will continue enabling this cover-up by staying silent, or playing along with his disgusting games, because history is watching, the country is watching, and the victims deserve justice, and if they fail to act, they will be remembered forever as the ones who stood on the wrong side of history, protecting a man who disgusts this entire nation.